Opening. The sacred surrender. Welcome, dear soul, to this journey into trust, into surrender, into the profound peace that comes from releasing control and allowing the universe to guide you. Find yourself in a comfortable position now, letting your body settle completely, releasing any tension you've been carrying throughout the day. Close your eyes gently or soften your gaze until the world becomes a blur of soft shapes and shadows. Take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs completely, and exhale slowly through your mouth, releasing not just air, but worry, stress, the need to control everything. Tonight, we embark on a journey through the most powerful Buddhist teachings on trusting the universe. We will explore stories of surrender and faith, of letting go and being held, of releasing our tight grip on life and discovering that we are supported by something far greater than our individual will. In Buddhism, there is a concept called Tinissero, or letting go, the practice of releasing our attachments, our demands, our insistence that life unfold according to our plans. This is not resignation or passivity, it is active trust, conscious surrender, the recognition that we are part of a vast intelligence that knows far more than our limited perspective can grasp. Breathe deeply now. Feel your body being held by the surface beneath you. You are supported. You are safe. You are exactly where you need to be in this moment. The universe is not random, chaotic, or indifferent. It is a living web of interconnection, moving according to patterns too vast for the conscious mind to comprehend, but which the soul recognizes intuitively. Every challenge you face, every unexpected turn, every seeming setback, all of it is part of a larger unfolding, a sacred pattern weaving itself through your life. Tonight, we will learn to trust that pattern. We will discover how to release our anxious grip and allow ourselves to be carried by the current of life, rather than exhausting ourselves swimming against it. We will explore what it means to have faith, not blind faith, but the deep knowing that comes from recognizing the intelligence at work in everything. Settle deeper now. Let your breathing become slow and rhythmic. Let your body grow heavy with relaxation. Let your mind begin to quiet, creating space for these ancient teachings to take root in your consciousness. Part 1. The Monk Who Let Go of Everything. In the mountains of Tibet, there lived a Buddhist monk named Tenzin who had devoted his entire life to spiritual practice. From the age of 7, when his parents had offered him to the monastery, he had studied the Dharma, meditated for hours each day, performed rituals with precision and devotion. By the time he reached his 40s, he was considered a learned scholar, respected by his peers, admired by students who sought his teaching. But Tenzin carried a secret burden. Despite decades of practice, despite his extensive knowledge of Buddhist philosophy, he had not experienced the deep awakening he sought. He could explain emptiness intellectually, could recite sutras from memory, could guide others through complex meditations, but his own heart remained restless, anxious, controlled by fear and attachment. He attached to his reputation as a learned teacher. He attached to his identity as a devoted practitioner. He attached to his vision of what enlightenment should look like and when it should arrive. He attached to the idea that his decades of effort should produce specific results. And beneath all these attachments was a fundamental lack of trust. Trust in the process, trust in the Dharma,
trust in the universe to support his journey without his constant anxious management of every detail. One day, Tenzin's teacher, a very old lama who rarely spoke anymore, called him for a private audience. Tenzin entered the teacher's simple room with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Perhaps now, finally, the teacher would give him the secret teaching, the special instruction that would unlock everything. The old lama looked at Tenzin with eyes that seemed to see through all his scholarly knowledge to the frightened, controlling ego underneath. After a long silence, he said simply, "You are trying too hard. You are strangling your own awakening with effort." Tenzin felt confused. But isn't effort the path? Isn't diligent practice the way to enlightenment? "There is a difference," the old lama replied, "between wholehearted engagement and desperate striving. You are not practicing, you are grasping. Every meditation is an attempt to force awakening. Every teaching you give is an attempt to prove your worth. Every ritual is performed with the hidden agenda of earning enlightenment, as if it were a transaction. You do not trust, you try to control." These words landed in Tenzin's heart like arrows finding their target. He felt tears begin to flow, tears of recognition, of the exhaustion of decades spent trying to force spiritual progress, of the loneliness of never truly surrendering. "What should I do?" he asked, his voice breaking. The old lama smiled with infinite compassion. "Leave the monastery. Go into the world for a while. Stop being a monk for a while. Let life teach you what all your studying has not taught you: how to trust, how to surrender, how to allow the universe to carry you rather than trying to push the river." Tenzin was shocked. Leave the monastery? After 40 years? Give up his robes, his identity, everything he'd built his life around? It felt like death, like dissolution, like stepping off a cliff into complete unknown. But something in the old lama's eyes told him this was not a punishment, but a gift, an invitation to finally experience what he'd only understood intellectually. With trembling hands and a heart full of terror and strange excitement, Tenzin removed his robes, put on simple lay clothes, and walked out of the monastery gates carrying nothing but a small bag with basic necessities. The first weeks were excruciating. Without the structure of monastic life, the regular schedule of prayers, meals, meditation sessions, Tenzin felt completely lost. He had no idea who he was without his role, his routine, his identity as a learned monk. He wandered from village to village, sleeping in basic guest houses, eating simple food, encountering ordinary people living ordinary lives. And slowly something began to shift. Without the constant pressure to be spiritual, to perform practice perfectly, to achieve enlightenment, Tenzin began to simply be. He watched sunrise without analyzing the experience. He talked with villagers without trying to teach them. He walked mountain paths without turning every step into a meditation technique. One day, several months into his wandering, Tenzin was caught in a sudden mountain storm. Rain poured down, thunder crashed, lightning split the sky. He had no shelter nearby, no way to control the situation. For a moment, his old patterns of anxiety arose. He should have checked the weather, should have planned better, should have... But then something remarkable happened. The anxiety just dissolved. Standing there in the pouring rain, completely soaked, with nowhere to go and no way to fix the situation, Tenzin started laughing. Deep, genuine laughter that came from somewhere beyond his thinking mind. He realized the storm didn't care about his discomfort. The mountains didn't care about his plans. The universe was doing exactly what it needed to do, and his anxiety, his attempts to control, his careful management of every detail, none of it mattered. He could either resist and suffer or surrender and experience. He chose surrender. He stood in the rain with arms outstretched, face turned up to the sky, letting the storm wash over him, through him. And in that moment of complete letting go, something cracked open inside him. Not the dramatic enlightenment experience he'd imagined for decades, but something quieter and more profound, a visceral understanding that he was not separate from the storm, from the mountains, from the universe itself. He was the universe experiencing itself through this particular form called Tenzin. He didn't need to control anything because there was no separate self trying to control. There was just this, rain falling, thunder rolling, a body standing in the midst of it all, completely alive, completely present, completely trusting. After the storm passed, Tenzin continued walking, but differently now. Not as a seeker trying to find something, but as life simply unfolding, experiencing itself. He no longer worried about whether he was enlightened or not. He no longer attached to outcomes or tried to force experiences. He simply trusted the path, trusted the process, trusted that the universe was carrying him exactly where he needed to go. Years later, Tenzin would return to the monastery, but not as the same person who had left. The desperate, controlling scholar was gone. In his place was someone soft, open, genuinely at peace. When students asked him about enlightenment, he would say, "Stop trying to grasp it. Stop trying to control your spiritual journey. Trust the universe. Surrender to what is. Everything you're seeking is already here, already available, already yours. You just need to stop strangling it with effort and allow it to reveal itself." His old teacher, now near death, looked at Tenzin with eyes full of joy. He whispered, "Now you truly understand. Now you truly practice. Not because you're trying to achieve something, but because practice is simply the natural expression of trust, of alignment with how things are." Tenzin bowed deeply to his teacher, grateful for the gift of being sent away, grateful for the storm that taught him to surrender, grateful for the universe that had been supporting him all along, even when he didn't trust it, even when he fought against it, even when he tried desperately to control what could never be controlled.
Meditation, releasing control. Let your awareness settle into your breath now. Don't try to change it. Don't try to make it deeper or slower or more spiritual. Just observe it as it is, this perfect rhythm that continues without your conscious effort, this gift from the universe that sustains your life moment by moment without you having to think about it. This is what trust looks like. Your body knows how to breathe. Your heart knows how to beat. Your blood knows how to flow. You're not managing any of this consciously, yet it all works perfectly. There's an intelligence operating through you that is far greater than your thinking mind. Now bring to awareness something you've been trying to control, a situation in your life, a person's behavior, an outcome you're attached to. Just hold it gently in your awareness without judgment. Notice how it feels in your body to grip tightly to this need for control. Where do you feel tension? Your jaw, your shoulders, your stomach, your chest. Breathe into those places of holding. Now imagine releasing your grip just slightly, not giving up, not becoming passive, but loosening your tight fist. Imagine the situation or person you've been trying to control is like a bird you're holding. When you grip too tightly, you hurt the bird. When you open your hand, the bird can rest there freely, and if it needs to fly away, it can. This is what trust looks like. Open hands, soft heart, a willingness to let things unfold without forcing them. Say silently to yourself, I release my need to control. I trust the universe to support this situation. I trust the wisdom that is greater than my limited perspective. You might not believe these words fully. That's okay. You're planting seeds. You're practicing a new way of being. Over time, with gentle repetition, trust grows. Breathe in, I trust. Breathe out, I let go. Continue this rhythm for a few more breaths. Feel how your body softens with each release. Feel how the universe holds you as you release your grip. You are safe. You are supported. You can let go.
Part 2. The Woman Who Lost Everything. In a modern city, in a time very much like our own, there lived a woman named Jennifer who had constructed her entire identity around success and security. She was a senior executive at a prestigious company, owned a beautiful home, had a retirement account that would ensure comfortable old age, drove a luxury car, wore designer clothes. Her life looked perfect from the outside, and Jennifer worked tirelessly to maintain that perfection. But underneath the polished surface, she was terrified. Terrified of losing what she'd built, terrified of being seen as a failure, terrified of uncertainty, terrified of not being in control. She worked 70-hour weeks not just for ambition, but from fear. Fear that if she stopped pushing, stopped controlling, stopped managing every detail, everything would fall apart. She had no real relationships, no time for them, no energy left after maintaining her carefully constructed life. She hadn't spoken to her family in years, too busy climbing the corporate ladder. She had no hobbies, no interests beyond work. Her entire sense of self was wrapped up in her professional identity and material success. Then, in a single week, her carefully controlled world collapsed. The company she worked for was acquired and her position was eliminated. She received a severance package, but it was far less than she'd expected. She'd been counting on stock options that suddenly became worthless. At the same time, her home, which she'd bought at the peak of the market, was now underwater, worth less than she owed on it. And an unexpected health crisis required surgery that, despite her insurance, left her with massive medical debt. Within months, Jennifer lost her job, her home, her savings. She moved into a small apartment in a less affluent neighborhood, took a job in retail just to pay rent, watched her entire identity dissolve. At first, she was in shock, moving through days in a daze of disbelief. Then came anger, rage at the universe, at the unfairness, at the company that discarded her, at the economic forces beyond her control. Then came depression, deep, dark, pulling her down into a place where getting out of bed felt impossible. She hit bottom on a Tuesday night, alone in her small apartment, looking at the meager contents of her refrigerator, feeling the full weight of her fall from grace. And in that moment, something inside her cracked open, not breaking, but opening, like a seed splits to allow the sprout to emerge. She realized she was still alive. She was still breathing. Despite losing everything she thought to find her, some essential her remained. And that essential self had been there all along, underneath the executive persona, underneath the designer clothes and luxury car, underneath all the trappings she'd mistaken for her identity. In her desperation, Jennifer started attending a meditation group at a local Buddhist center. She couldn't afford much, but they offered classes on donation basis, and she went because she had nothing else, nowhere else to turn. The teacher was a woman named Pema, a Western Buddhist nun with kind eyes and a gentle voice. Pema spoke about impermanence, about the Buddhist teaching that everything changes, that attachment to what must inevitably change is the source of suffering, that letting go is the path to peace. At first, these teachings just made Jennifer angry. Of course everything changes. She'd learned that the hard way. But where was the peace in losing everything? Pema, sensing Jennifer's resistance, spoke to her after class. "You think the universe took things away from you," she said gently, "but perhaps the universe freed you from a prison you didn't know you were in. Perhaps losing everything was the only way you could discover who you really are beneath all the things you'd accumulated. Jennifer wanted to argue, but something in those words touched a deep truth she wasn't ready to acknowledge. Over the following months, Jennifer continued attending the meditation group. Slowly, incrementally, her relationship with her circumstances began to shift. She started to notice things she'd never noticed before: the kindness of her coworkers at the retail job, the beauty of her neighborhood, the simple pleasure of cooking a meal, the freedom of not working 70-hour weeks. She started volunteering at a homeless shelter, and there she met people who had far less than she did, but somehow radiated more genuine happiness. She met a man named Robert, who'd been living on the streets for 3 years, but who smiled freely, shared what little he had, and seemed fundamentally at peace. "How do you do it?" Jennifer asked him one day. "How do you stay so positive when you have nothing?" Robert laughed. "I have everything I need in this moment. I don't have security, that's true. I don't know where I'll sleep next month or where my next meal might come from after this one. But I've learned something precious. The universe provides, not always in the way I want or expect, but it provides. I'm fed today, I'm warm today, I'm alive today. That's enough." Jennifer began to understand. She'd spent decades trying to create security, trying to control the future, trying to ensure she'd never experience uncertainty or vulnerability. And in doing so, she'd missed the miracle of the present moment, the sufficiency of now, the way the universe actually does provide what we need, even when it doesn't give us what we want. She started a daily practice of gratitude, writing down 3 things each day that she appreciated. At first, it felt forced, false, but gradually she began to genuinely feel grateful for her health, which had recovered, for her small apartment, which was actually quite cozy, for her retail job, where she was helping people and making real connections, for the simplicity of her life, which left space for things that actually mattered. 2 years after losing everything, Jennifer was in a completely different place emotionally and spiritually. She still didn't have much materially. She lived simply, worked a modest job, had no savings to speak of, but she was happier than she had ever been in her high-powered executive life. She'd reconnected with her family, rebuilding relationships that her years of workaholism had nearly destroyed. She'd made genuine friends through the meditation center and volunteer work. She discovered a love of painting that had been dormant since childhood. She'd learned to trust that she would be okay, that the universe would provide what she needed, that she didn't have to control everything. One evening, sitting in her small apartment, painting while music played softly in the background, Jennifer had a profound realization. The universe hadn't punished her by taking away her career and possessions. It had freed her. It had stripped away everything false so she could discover what was real. It had demolished the prison of her own making so she could experience actual freedom. She wrote in her journal that night, "I thought I lost everything, but actually I lost nothing real. I lost symbols, illusions, false identities, and in losing those, I found myself. I found peace. I found trust. The universe knew what I needed even when I didn't, and it gave me exactly that. Not what I wanted, but what I needed. And that's the deepest form of love." Jennifer continued her simple life, working her modest job, practicing meditation, volunteering, painting, cherishing her relationships. She never pursued another high-powered career. She didn't need to. She discovered something more valuable than success. She discovered trust, the profound peace that comes from knowing you're held by something greater than yourself, that you don't have to control everything, that the universe is fundamentally on your side, even when circumstances look difficult. And when friends from her old life would occasionally reach out, shocked by her circumstances, pitying her loss of status and wealth, she would smile gently and say, "I didn't lose anything important. I gained everything that matters."
Teaching the wisdom of impermanence. Settle deeper into relaxation now, feeling your body growing heavier, your mind growing quieter, your heart opening to receive these teachings. One of the fundamental insights of Buddhism is anicca, impermanence. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. The job you have today might be gone tomorrow. The relationship that feels eternal might end. The health you take for granted might fail. The possessions you've accumulated might be lost. For most people, impermanence is terrifying. We cling desperately to what we have, trying to freeze reality, to make the good things last forever and prevent the bad things from arriving. We build elaborate structures of security and control, believing we can somehow opt out of change, somehow create a stable island in the midst of life's constant flow. But impermanence is not the enemy. It is simply how reality works, and resisting it is like standing in a river and trying to make the water stop flowing. You will exhaust yourself fighting a battle you cannot win. Buddhism teaches us a different approach. Embrace impermanence. Accept that everything changes. Welcome the flow rather than resisting it. And in that acceptance, discover a profound freedom. When you fully accept that nothing lasts forever, you stop clinging so desperately. You enjoy what you have while you have it, knowing it will change. You hold things lightly, not because you don't care, but because you understand their temporary nature. You love deeply while also being willing to let go when the time comes. This is not pessimism or detachment, it's realism infused with wisdom. It's looking directly at how life actually works and aligning yourself with that reality rather than fighting against it. The universe is in constant flux, constantly creating and destroying, building and demolishing, bringing things into form and dissolving them back into formlessness. This is not random or cruel. It's the nature of existence itself, and you are part of this flow, not separate from it. When you lose something, a job, a relationship, your health, your youth, you are not being punished. You are simply experiencing the natural process of change that everything must undergo. The universe is not taking anything away from you. It is simply moving in its eternal dance of transformation. And here is the profound teaching. What the universe takes with one hand, it gives with the other. Not always immediately, not always in the form you expect, but it gives. Every ending creates space for a new beginning. Every loss opens the possibility for gain. Every death contains within it the seed of rebirth. When you trust this, truly trust it in your bones, not just as an intellectual concept, but as a lived reality, you can relax. You can stop gripping so tightly. You can release your need to control and simply allow life to unfold, trusting that whatever comes is part of the pattern, part of the dance, part of the infinite intelligence that moves through all things. This trust doesn't mean you become passive or stop making effort. It means you engage with life fully while also holding everything lightly. You do your best, make plans, work towards goals, but you don't attach to specific outcomes. You remain flexible, adaptable, willing to change direction when circumstances change. This is the middle way that Buddha taught, not clinging and not rejecting, not grasping and not pushing away, but meeting everything that arises with equanimity, with trust, with the deep knowing that the universe is fundamentally benevolent even when it doesn't conform to your preferences. Breathe into this teaching now. Feel into your own resistance to impermanence. Notice where you're clinging, where you're trying to control, where you're fighting against the natural flow of change. And gently, with compassion for yourself, practice releasing. Just a little.
just enough to feel the relief that comes from letting go, from trusting, from surrendering to the wisdom of the universe that knows far more than your limited perspective can grasp. You are safe in the midst of change. You are held by the universe as everything transforms. You can trust the process, trust the flow, trust that you are exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, becoming exactly who you're meant to become.
Part 3. The Businessman and the Beggar. In the heart of Mumbai, there lived a businessman named Rajesh who controlled an empire of real estate holdings worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He was known throughout India as a shrewd negotiator, a strategic thinker, a man who left nothing to chance. His life was meticulously planned, every meeting scheduled, every decision calculated, every risk assessed and mitigated. Rajesh believed completely in his own power to shape his destiny. He had started with nothing, built his fortune through intelligence and determination, and he attributed his success entirely to his own efforts. The idea of trusting the universe would have seemed absurd to him. He trusted only himself, only his own ability to analyze and control. One morning, on his way to an important business meeting that could determine the future of his company, Rajesh encountered a beggar outside his office building. The man was elderly, thin, sitting cross-legged on the sidewalk with a simple bowl for donations. But what caught Rajesh's attention was the man's peaceful, serene, even joyful. "Excuse me," Rajesh said, surprising himself. "You seem happy. How is that possible when you have nothing?" The beggar looked up at Rajesh with eyes that seemed to see through all his wealth and accomplishment to the anxious, controlling person beneath. He smiled. "I have everything I need. The universe provides." Rajesh laughed, but not unkindly. "The universe? You're sitting on a sidewalk begging for coins. What has the universe provided you?" "Food finds its way to me. Shelter appears when I need it. People give me what I require. I don't plan or scheme or worry. I simply trust that I will be taken care of, and I am." The beggar gestured to his bowl, which contained a few coins and some fruit. "See? Enough for today. I don't need more than enough for today." Rajesh shook his head. "That's no way to live. Don't you want security? Don't you want to plan for the future, to ensure you'll be okay?" "I am okay," the beggar replied simply. "I'm okay right now. Tomorrow hasn't come yet. Why would I worry about it? The universe that is providing for me today will provide for me tomorrow. I trust that." Rajesh found this conversation absurd, but also strangely compelling. On impulse, he took out his wallet and gave the beggar a generous amount, far more than the man had probably received all week. The beggar accepted it with a small bow of gratitude, then immediately turned and gave most of it to a woman with a small child who was sitting nearby, keeping only enough for his day's needs. "Why did you do that?" Rajesh asked, bewildered. "I gave that to you." "And now I've passed it to someone who needed it more," the beggar said with a shrug. "The universe gave it to me through you, and now the universe is giving it to her through me. This is how it works: constant flow, constant circulation. When you hold too tightly, you block the flow. When you trust and give freely, the universe gives freely to you." Rajesh walked away shaking his head, disturbed by the encounter but unable to stop thinking about it. That day, his important business meeting fell through. The deal he'd been carefully constructing for months collapsed due to circumstances beyond his control. All his planning, all his strategic thinking, all his meticulous effort, it failed. He felt the old familiar panic rising, the sense that if he didn't control everything, if he didn't stay on top of every detail, everything would fall apart. But unbidden, the beggar's peaceful face appeared in his mind. The universe provides.
Over the following weeks, Rajesh found himself seeking out the beggar, stopping to talk with him on his way to the office. The old man shared Buddhist teachings about trust, about surrender, about the illusion of control. He told stories of his own life, how he'd once been a successful merchant before losing everything in a fire, how his initial despair had transformed into unexpected liberation, how he'd discovered that happiness and peace didn't depend on possessions or security, but on one's relationship with reality itself. "You think you're in control," the beggar told Rajesh one day, "but you're not. You never were. The weather isn't in your control. Other people's decisions aren't in your control. Economic forces aren't in your control. 1,000 factors affect your business that you can't even see, much less manage. You're like a man in a boat exhausting himself rowing frantically, not realizing he's in a river with a strong current. If he would just lift his oars and surrender to the current, he would move forward effortlessly." "But how do I know the current is going the right direction?" Rajesh asked. The beggar smiled. "You don't. That's what trust means, moving forward without needing to know, without needing to control. You do your part. You row when it's appropriate to row, but you also surrender to forces larger than yourself, trusting that the universe is carrying you where you need to go." Rajesh struggled with these teachings. His entire identity was built around being in control, being the master of his fate. The idea of surrendering felt like weakness, like giving up. But then came another crisis, this one bigger than a failed deal. A global economic downturn hit his industry hard. Property values plummeted. Tenants defaulted on leases. His carefully constructed empire began to crumble, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. All his intelligence, all his strategic thinking, all his meticulous effort, none of it mattered against forces that were so much larger than any individual. Rajesh faced ruin. He was going to lose everything he'd built over decades, and in his desperation, he remembered the beggar's teachings. With no other option, he tried something radical. He stopped fighting. He stopped the frantic attempts to control outcomes. He did what needed to be done each day, but without the panic, without the desperate grasping. He began to practice trust, not as a philosophy, but as a lived experiment. And something remarkable happened. Not a miracle that saved his business, that was gone, but a miracle of internal transformation. As Rajesh stopped resisting, stopped fighting reality, stopped demanding that circumstances be different than they were, he discovered a peace he'd never known, despite all his wealth and success. He lost most of his fortune, his business was dismantled, his reputation as a brilliant businessman was replaced by the label of someone who failed during the crisis. By any external measure, he'd fallen from great heights, but internally, he was more at peace than he'd been in his entire life. He'd discovered what the beggar had been trying to teach him, that happiness and peace don't depend on external circumstances, that security is an illusion, that real trust means surrendering to what is rather than demanding what should be. Rajesh started over, much more humbly. He took a job working for someone else, lived simply, saved modestly, but he also laughed more, slept better, connected with his family in ways he never had when he was busy building his empire. He'd lost his business, but found himself. Years later, having rebuilt a modest success, Rajesh went looking for the beggar who had taught him so much, but the old man was gone. Other people who frequented that area said he stopped coming around months ago, and no one knew where he went or even what his real name had been. Rajesh understood. The beggar appeared in his life at exactly the moment he needed that teaching, and having delivered his message, having planted the seeds of transformation, he'd moved on, perhaps to teach someone else. Perhaps he never really been a beggar at all, but a bodhisattva, an enlightened being who takes form to guide others to liberation. Rajesh never knew for certain, but he carried the teaching for the rest of his life, and he shared it with others. The universe provides, not always what you want, not always in the timing you prefer, but always what you need. Your job is not to control everything, but to do your best, stay present, and trust. Trust the current, trust the river, trust the universe that is carrying you. This is the secret of peace.
Meditation, trusting the current. Bring your awareness now to the sensation of your body being supported. Feel the surface beneath you, the bed, the chair, the floor. Notice how you are being held without any effort on your part. You don't have to work to be supported. The earth simply holds you. This is what the universe does: holds you, supports you, carries you. Not because you've earned it or because you're controlling it, but simply because this is the nature of reality. You are held. Imagine now that you are floating in a river, a warm, gentle river with a strong current. You've been trying to swim upstream, fighting against the current, exhausting yourself, trying to control your direction. But now, you're going to try something different. You're going to stop swimming. You're going to turn around and float on your back, face up to the sky, arms and legs spread wide, completely surrendered to the current. Feel what this would be like, the relief of stopping the struggle, the ease of being carried, the trust required to let go and allow the river to take you where it will. You might feel fear arise, but what if the current takes me somewhere I don't want to go? What if I lose control completely? What if I float into danger? Notice these fears with compassion. They're natural. You've been taught your whole life that you must control everything or disaster will result. But this teaching is false. It creates suffering. The truth is, you've never been in complete control. You've always been in the river, always being carried by forces larger than yourself. The only question is whether you exhaust yourself fighting the current or whether you relax and trust. Breathe in, I am supported. Breathe out, I trust the current. Feel your body softening with each breath. Feel the grip of control loosening just slightly. Feel what it's like to be carried rather than forcing. You are safe. The universe that has brought you this far continues to carry you. You can rest in that trust. You can let go and allow yourself to be held.
Part 4. The Mother's Lesson. In a suburban neighborhood somewhere in America, there lived a woman named Sarah, who was the mother of 3 children. She was a dedicated parent, attentive, involved, constantly worried about making sure everything was perfect for her kids. She planned their meals meticulously, scheduled their activities carefully, monitored their friendships closely, helped extensively with homework, controlled their screen time, managed every detail of their lives. Sarah believed this was good parenting. She was protecting her children, ensuring they had every advantage, guiding them toward success. But underneath her helicopter parenting was profound anxiety. Fear that if she wasn't controlling everything, something terrible would happen. Fear that her children would make mistakes, fail, get hurt, veer off course. She couldn't sleep well, constantly worrying about her children, even when they were safely in bed. She couldn't relax, always mentally running through the next day's schedule, the next week's obligations, the next month's plans. She was exhausted, but convinced she had to maintain this level of control where she'd be failing as a mother. Her oldest child, 15-year-old Emma, was struggling the most under this controlling care. She'd become anxious, perfectionistic, afraid to make any decision without her mother's approval. She'd stopped trusting her own judgment because Emma had always swooped in to fix, advise, manage, control every situation. The crisis came when Emma had a panic attack at school. Sarah got the call and rushed to pick her up, her own anxiety skyrocketing. As they sat in the school counselor's office, the counselor gently suggested that Emma's anxiety might be related to not having space to develop her own sense of self, her own ability to handle challenges, her own trust in herself. She needs to struggle sometimes, the counselor said carefully. She needs to make mistakes and learn from them. She needs to experience that she can handle difficulties without you managing everything. Otherwise, she'll never develop confidence in her own ability to navigate life. Sarah felt defensive at first. She was doing all this controlling because she loved her daughter, because she wanted to protect her. How could that be wrong? But driving home, with Emma silent and withdrawn in the passenger seat, Sarah had an uncomfortable realization. Her attempts to control everything weren't really about Emma. They were about her own anxiety, her own lack of trust. She was trying to manage her daughter's entire life because she couldn't tolerate uncertainty, couldn't trust that Emma would be okay without constant intervention, couldn't surrender to the reality that she couldn't protect her daughter from all pain and difficulty. That night, Sarah had a dream. She was standing on the edge of a vast ocean, and her 3 children were swimming out into the water. She was screaming at them to come back, to stay in the shallow water where it was safe, where she could reach them. But they kept swimming out, following some invisible call she couldn't hear. She started to wade in after them, to pull them back to shore, but an old woman appeared beside her on the beach. "Let them go," the woman said. "They know how to swim. The ocean will teach them what they need to learn. Your job is not to prevent them from ever going into deep water. Your job is to teach them to swim, and then trust." Sarah woke with tears streaming from her face. She'd been trying to keep her children in shallow water their entire lives, terrified of the ocean, not realizing that they needed to learn to navigate deep water in order to become capable humans. She made a decision that morning. She was going to practice trust, not reckless abandonment of her children, but trust. Trust in them, trust in their ability to learn and grow, trust in the universe to support them, even when she couldn't control every outcome. She started small. She let her 10-year-old son walk to school by himself instead of driving him. She let her middle daughter choose her own after-school activities instead of signing her up for what Sarah thought was best. And with Emma, she practiced the hardest thing, stepping back. "I trust you," Sarah started saying to Emma. "I trust you to know what you need. I trust you to handle this situation. I trust you to learn from your mistakes." At first, it was terrifying. Sarah would lie awake at night, battling the urge to text and check in, to call and offer advice, to control from a distance what she'd committed to releasing up close. She had to consciously practice trust like it was a muscle she was building, repetition by repetition, breath by breath. And gradually, something beautiful happened. Emma began to relax. Her anxiety decreased as she was given space to trust herself. She started making decisions, some good and some less good, but learning from all of them. She developed confidence in her own judgment. She became more independent, more capable, more herself. Sarah's other children flourished too. Her son discovered pride in his own accomplishments when they weren't managed by her. Her daughter found activities she genuinely loved instead of activities Sarah thought she should love. And Sarah herself transformed. As she practiced trusting her children, she discovered she was also learning to trust life itself, to trust that challenges were opportunities for growth, that mistakes were necessary for learning, that she didn't have to control everything for her children to be okay. She started a mindfulness practice, working specifically with anxiety and control. She read about Buddhism and was struck by the teachings on letting go, on surrender, on trust.
She realized she was operating from a fundamental belief that the universe was dangerous and that only her constant vigilance kept disaster at bay. But what if that belief was wrong? What if the universe was actually fundamentally supportive? What if her job wasn't to control everything, but to teach her children to trust themselves, trust others, trust life itself? One evening, Emma came to Sarah with a problem, a difficult situation with friends at school. Sarah's old pattern would have been to immediately start solving, managing, controlling, but instead, she took a breath and said, "That sounds really hard. What do you think you should do?" Emma looked surprised, then thoughtful. "I'm not sure. Maybe I should talk to them directly, or maybe I should give it some time and see if it blows over." "Those both sound like reasonable approaches. I trust you to figure out what's right." "Really?" Emma asked. "You're not going to tell me what to do?" "Really," Sarah confirmed. "You're capable of handling this, and even if you make a choice that doesn't work out perfectly, you'll learn from it. I trust you, and I trust that the universe will support you as you learn." Emma smiled, genuinely smiled for the first time in months. "Thanks, Mom. That actually helps more than if you'd have told me what to do." Years later, when her children were grown, Sarah reflected on her journey from controlling parent to trusting parent. She wrote in her journal, "I thought my job was to protect my children from life. I thought I had to control everything to keep them safe, but I was actually limiting them, preventing them from developing their own strength, their own wisdom, their own trust. Learning to let go was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was also the greatest gift I could give them, the gift of trusting they could handle their own lives, and the gift of demonstrating trust in the universe that holds us all."
Teaching the illusion of control. Rest deeply now, letting your body sink further into relaxation. Notice any remaining tension and breathe into it, allowing it to dissolve like mist in morning sunlight. One of the most persistent illusions we carry is the illusion of control. We believe that through careful planning, constant vigilance, and intense effort, we can control outcomes. We can prevent bad things from happening, ensure good things come to pass, manage all the variables, eliminate uncertainty. This belief drives enormous suffering. It creates constant anxiety, the sense that if we're not controlling everything, disaster looms. It exhausts us, the endless effort of trying to manage what cannot actually be managed. It prevents us from being present. We're always living in the future, worrying about outcomes, planning for contingencies. Buddhism teaches us a liberating truth. You have far less control than you think. And this is actually good news. You don't control the weather. You don't control other people's choices. You don't control economic forces, political changes, technological developments, or natural disasters. You don't control whether you'll get sick, when you'll die, or what challenges you'll face tomorrow. You control only your own choices in each present moment. That's it. Everything else is beyond your control. For many people, this realization is terrifying. If I'm not in control, they think, then I'm helpless, powerless, vulnerable to chaos. But this is misunderstanding the teaching. You're not helpless, you're surrendered. You're not powerless, you're aligned with reality as it is, rather than fighting against it. You're not vulnerable, you're trusting in the fundamental benevolence of a universe that has brought you this far and continues to support your existence. Think about your life so far. How many times did things not go according to your plans? How many unexpected turns, surprises, changes? And yet here you are, alive, conscious, still moving forward.
Despite all the things you couldn't control, despite all the plans that fell through, despite all the challenges you didn't anticipate, you've made it to this moment. Something has been carrying you. Call it the universe, call it the Tao, call it Buddha nature, call it the flow of life itself. It doesn't matter what name you use. The point is, there's an intelligence operating that is far greater than your individual ego, and it has been supporting you all along, even when you didn't trust it, even when you fought against it, even when you tried desperately to control what couldn't be controlled. What if you could relax into that support? What if instead of fighting to control everything, you did what was yours to do and then surrendered the outcomes? What if you parented your children, worked at your job, tended your relationships, made your choices, and then released your grip on how things should turn out? This doesn't mean becoming passive or not caring about outcomes. It means holding outcomes lightly, doing your best without attachment to specific results, trusting that whatever unfolds is part of the larger pattern, even if you can't see that pattern from your limited perspective. A tree doesn't control whether it will rain. It doesn't control the quality of the soil or the angle of the sun. It simply grows, reaching toward light, sending roots down toward water, doing what trees do. And somehow, mysteriously, the tree is supported. Rain comes, nutrients are available. The tree flourishes, not because it controls everything, but because it aligns with its nature and trusts the environment to provide what it needs. You are like the tree. Your job is to be yourself, to do what's yours to do, to grow in the direction that's natural for you. The universe will provide what you need. Not always what you want, not always in your preferred timing, but what you need for your growth, for your learning, for your evolution. Trust this. Practice trusting it. Each time you notice yourself trying to control what can't be controlled, take a breath and practice release. I can't control this. I trust the universe to handle what I cannot handle. I do my part and release the rest. This practice will transform your life. It will reduce your anxiety, increase your peace, open you to possibilities you never considered when you were too busy trying to force specific outcomes. It will allow you to be present to life as it actually is, rather than constantly fighting against reality, demanding that it be different. The universe is trustworthy. It has proven this to you over and over by bringing you safely to this moment, despite all your lack of control. Can you recognize this truth? Can you rest in it? Can you allow yourself to be held?
Part 5. The Artist's Surrender. In a small coastal town, there lived an artist named Michael who had dedicated his life to painting. He'd studied at prestigious art schools, won awards early in his career, and had seemed destined for great success. But somewhere along the way, his career had stalled. His recent work wasn't selling. Galleries were no longer interested in showing his paintings. Critics who once praised him had moved on to the next new thing. Michael felt desperate. He'd poured everything into his art, his time, his money, his heart. He'd sacrificed relationships, financial security, comfort, all because he believed in his calling as an artist. But now he was 45 years old, living in a tiny apartment, barely scraping by with part-time jobs, watching his dream crumble. He became consumed with trying to control his career. He sent dozens of emails daily to galleries and critics. He constantly updated his website and social media, trying to game the algorithms. He went to every art opening, networking frantically, desperately trying to make connections that would revive his career. He analyzed what was selling, what critics liked, what collectors wanted, and tried to paint work that would appeal to those markets. But the more he tried to control and manipulate his career, the worse things got. His art became hollow,
calculated, lacking the authentic vision that had made his early work compelling. Gallery owners could sense his desperation. Potential buyers picked up on his inauthenticity. He was in a downward spiral of increasingly frantic effort, producing increasingly poor results. One gray afternoon, standing in his studio, surrounded by unsold paintings, Michael broke down completely. He sobbed, deep, wrenching sobs that came from years of held frustration and fear. He felt like a complete failure, like his entire life had been wasted chasing a dream that was never going to come true. In his despair, he did something uncharacteristic. He went for a walk on the beach, something he rarely allowed himself time for anymore. He walked for hours, not thinking about his career, not planning or scheming, just walking, watching waves crash on the shore, feeling wind on his face. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in magnificent oranges and purples, Michael stopped and really looked at it. He couldn't remember the last time he'd actually paid attention to a sunset, actually been present to beauty rather than being consumed by his career anxieties. He felt something shift inside him, a loosening of the tight grip he'd had on his life, his career, his identity, and a question arose. What if I just painted what I wanted to paint? What if I stopped trying to control outcomes and just made art for its own sake, regardless of whether anyone ever saw it or bought it? The idea was both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it meant surrendering his agenda, giving up the constant effort to make his career happen. Liberating because it meant he could finally just be an artist without the burden of constant calculation and manipulation. He walked back to his studio as darkness fell, and then he did something he hadn't done in years. He pulled out a fresh canvas, mixed colors without a plan, and started painting. Not for galleries, not for critics, not for collectors, just for himself. Just for the pure joy of putting paint on canvas, of translating what he saw and felt into color and form. Hours passed without him noticing. He was completely absorbed, completely present, completely free. When he finally stepped back, exhausted, he looked at what he'd created and felt something he hadn't felt in years, genuine satisfaction. The painting wasn't calculated or market-tested. It was raw, honest, true. It was his. Over the following months, Michael continued this practice. He stopped sending emails to galleries. He stopped updating social media. He stopped networking and trying to control his career. He simply painted, every day, whatever wanted to emerge, with no agenda beyond the painting itself. He got a job bartending to pay his bills, working nights so his days were free for painting. It was humbling, serving drinks at 45 after years of thinking of himself as a serious artist, but there was also relief in it, the relief of releasing the burden of making art into a successful career, the relief of just being able to paint without all the pressure and expectation. Something remarkable began to happen to his work. Freed from the need to please anyone or fit any market, his paintings became more authentic, more powerful, more uniquely his. He was painting from his soul again, instead of from his anxious ego. One evening, a woman came into the bar where he worked. They struck up a conversation, and when she learned he was an artist, she asked to see his work. Michael almost declined, his old shame rising up, but something made him say yes. She came to his studio the next day. Michael showed him his recent work, the paintings he'd made just for himself, with no thought of selling or showing. She stood in front of them for a long time, silent, and Michael braced himself for polite rejection. Instead, she turned to him with tears in her eyes. "These are extraordinary," she said. "This is real art, not calculated or market-tested, just pure, authentic vision." It turned out she was a gallery owner from New York in town for vacation. She wanted to show his work in her gallery. Michael felt the old excitement rising. This was the break he'd been desperately seeking for years. But he also felt something new, caution. He'd learned something during his months of surrender, and he didn't want to lose it. "I'll show my work in your gallery," he said carefully, "but I need you to understand something. I'm not going to start painting for the market again. I'm not going to try to control or manipulate my career. I'm going to keep painting what I paint, regardless of whether it sells or gets good reviews. I've learned something valuable about trust and surrender, and I'm not giving that up, even for success." The gallery owner smiled. "That's exactly why your work is so powerful. Don't change a thing, just keep painting from that authentic place." The show was a success. Michael's work sold, received critical acclaim, launched him into a new phase of his career. But more importantly, he'd learned something that no amount of success or failure could take away. The universe will support you when you're doing what's truly yours to do, when you're being authentic rather than manipulative, when you're trusting rather than controlling. Years later, when asked about his artistic philosophy, Michael would say, "For years, I tried to force success. I schemed and manipulated and desperately tried to control my career, and I was miserable and failing. Then I surrendered. I let go of outcomes and just painted from my heart. And paradoxically, that's when things shifted. Not because surrendering is a strategy for success, it's not, but because when you're aligned with your authentic self, when you're doing what's truly yours to do, the universe supports you. Not always in the way you expect or in your preferred timing, but it supports you. Trust that, surrender to that, and then do your work with joy, regardless of outcomes."
Meditation, opening to universal support. Allow your body to become completely still now. Imagine that you're dissolving into the surface beneath you, becoming one with it, supported so completely that there's no separation between you and what holds you. This is always true, not just in this moment. You are always being held, always being supported by the earth beneath you, the air around you, the universe itself. You've never not been supported. Even in your most difficult moments, you were being held. Take a moment to acknowledge this truth. Breathe into the recognition that you are supported right now in this moment. Your heart is beating without your conscious control. Your lungs are breathing. Your body is digesting food, regenerating cells, maintaining the complex balance of life, all without your conscious management. You are being supported by forces so vast and intelligent that your conscious mind can't begin to comprehend them. And this support is not conditional. It doesn't depend on you being good enough or working hard enough or believing the right things. It simply is. It's the nature of reality itself. Now think about your life. Think about all the ways you've been supported that you didn't even notice. The people who appeared at just the right moment, the opportunities that arose unexpectedly, the dangers you narrowly avoided, the ways things worked out even when they seemed impossible. You tend to attribute these things to luck or coincidence or your own efforts. But what if there's something more? What if the universe has actually been supporting you, guiding you, providing what you need even when you didn't trust it, even when you fought against it, even when you tried desperately to control everything yourself? Can you feel into this possibility? Can you open to it just a little? Say silently to yourself, "I am supported by the universe. I am held. I am carried. I can trust this support." Notice any resistance that arises, any voice that says, "That's wishful thinking, that's naive, I can only count on myself." Just notice these voices with compassion. They're trying to protect you, trying to keep you safe by maintaining the illusion of control.
but they're also keeping you from experiencing the deep peace that comes from trust, from knowing you're held, from surrendering to the support that's always been there. Breathe in, I am held. Breathe out, I trust. Feel your body softening with each breath. Feel the grip of control loosening. Feel what it's like to rest in the knowledge that you don't have to do everything alone, manage everything yourself, control every outcome. The universe is supporting you. It always has been. It always will be. You can rest in that truth. You can trust and let go.
Part 6. The Medical Crisis. Dr. Eleanor Martinez was a control expert, though she would never have described herself that way. She was a surgeon, accustomed to having lives in her hands, to making split-second decisions, to managing crises with competence and authority. Control wasn't a problem in her worldview. It was a professional requirement. Her personal life reflected this same approach. She planned everything meticulously, maintained strict schedules, managed her health through careful diet and exercise, organized her finances with precision. She'd never been seriously ill, never faced a situation she couldn't manage through preparation and discipline. Then, at 52, Eleanor began experiencing strange symptoms, fatigue, unexplained bruising, episodes of confusion. She dismissed them at first, attributed them to stress and overwork, but when they persisted, she ran some tests, thinking she'd quickly identify and solve whatever minor issue was causing the problems. The diagnosis was devastating, a rare neurological condition, progressive and degenerative. There was no cure, only management of symptoms. The progression was unpredictable. She might decline slowly over years or rapidly over months. There was no way to know, no way to control the timeline, no way to plan with certainty. Eleanor's first response was to attack the problem with the same control and competence she brought to everything. She researched obsessively, consulted with specialists around the world, explored experimental treatments, changed her diet, added supplements, modified her exercise routine. She was determined to manage this the way she managed everything else, through knowledge, discipline, and control. But the disease didn't cooperate with her efforts. Despite everything she tried, the symptoms progressed. Her coordination began to fail. Her cognitive function became unpredictable. She had to stop performing surgeries. The hands that had once held scalpels with perfect steadiness now trembled uncontrollably. For Eleanor, this was not just a medical crisis, but an existential one. Her entire identity was built on competence, control, and capability. She was the person who fixed things, who managed crises, who maintained authority in chaotic situations. Now she was becoming dependent, vulnerable, unable to control even her own body. She fell into deep depression. If she couldn't be in control, she didn't know who she was. If she couldn't fix this problem, she felt like a failure at the most fundamental level. She withdrew from colleagues and friends, unable to bear their pity, unable to accept help, unable to show the vulnerability that her condition made inevitable. One day, her adult daughter Maria came to visit and found Eleanor sitting in the dark, surrounded by medical journals and research papers, tears streaming down her face. "Mom," said Maria gently, "you have to stop this. You have to accept that you can't control this disease. You have to surrender." "I don't know how," Eleanor said, her voice breaking. "Surrender feels like giving up. It feels like dying." Maria sat beside her mother and took her trembling hand. "Surrender isn't giving up. It's accepting reality. It's releasing the illusion that you ever had complete control. It's trusting that you'll be okay, even when you can't manage every detail." "But I won't be okay," Eleanor said. "I'm losing everything, my career, my independence, my identity. How am I supposed to trust that this is okay?"
"Maybe," Maria said carefully, "this disease is teaching you something you needed to learn. Maybe it's showing you that you're more than your competence, more than your ability to control things. Maybe it's inviting you to discover who you are underneath all your accomplishments and control." Eleanor wanted to reject this idea. It sounded like spiritual platitude, the kind of thing people say when they don't understand the real devastation of serious illness. But part of her also recognized a truth in Maria's words. At Maria's urging, Eleanor started attending a support group for people with neurological conditions. She resisted at first, not wanting to see herself as someone who needed support, not wanting to admit vulnerability, but gradually the group became a lifeline. She met people who were facing similar challenges: loss of physical function, uncertainty about the future, grief over the life they'd planned to live. And she was struck by how many of them had found peace not by controlling their illness or denying their reality, but by surrendering to it, by accepting what is rather than fighting desperately for what should be. One man in the group, Carlos, had been living with ALS for 3 years. He was in a wheelchair now, could barely speak, depended on others for everything. By any objective measure, his situation was terrible, but he radiated peace. Eleanor asked him how he managed it. Carlos typed slowly on his communication device. "I fought for the first year, tried everything, was angry, desperate, miserable. Then I had a moment of clarity. This disease was going to progress regardless of how I felt about it. I could spend whatever time I had left fighting reality, or I could accept reality and find peace within it. I chose peace." He continued typing. "Now I practice gratitude for what I have instead of mourning what I've lost. I can't walk, but I can see beauty. I can't speak easily, but I can receive love. I'm not who I was, but I'm still me. The universe gave me this challenge. I trust there's a reason, even if I don't understand it. And I've discovered something precious. I'm not my body. I'm not my abilities. I'm the awareness experiencing all of this, and that awareness is untouched by the disease." These words penetrated Eleanor's defensive shell. She began to see her own desperate clinging to control, her refusal to accept reality, her identification with her body and abilities rather than with the deeper self that witnesses all experience. She started a meditation practice, something she'd always dismissed as impractical. At first, sitting still was torture. Her mind raced with worries, her body twitched and trembled. Every moment felt like confronting her lack of control. But she persisted. Gradually, she began to experience moments of peace, brief windows where she wasn't fighting reality, wasn't demanding that things be different, wasn't defining herself by what she'd lost. In these moments, she discovered something surprising. She was okay. Not okay in the sense that everything was fine, but okay in a deeper sense, still present, still aware, still capable of experiencing beauty and love and meaning even within limitation. Her relationship with Maria deepened. Eleanor learned to receive help without shame, to admit vulnerability without feeling like a failure, to ask for what she needed without apologizing. She discovered that dependence wasn't defeat, but a different form of strength, the strength to trust others, to allow herself to be cared for, to release her lifelong pattern of having to do everything herself. 1 year after her diagnosis, Eleanor was significantly more impaired physically, but significantly more at peace emotionally and spiritually. She'd had to leave her career, but she'd found a new purpose, mentoring young doctors, not about surgical technique, but about the human dimensions of medicine, about treating patients as whole people rather than problems to be solved, about the limits of medical control and the importance of accepting what cannot be changed. She started a blog about her journey, writing with painful honesty about her struggle to surrender control, to accept help, to trust the process, even when it was stripping away everything she'd built her identity around. Her writing touched thousands of people, not just those with illnesses, but anyone facing loss, limitation, unwanted change. In one post, she wrote, "I thought the universe was taking everything from me, my career, my independence, my future as I had imagined it. I was angry, bitter, terrified. But as I've learned to surrender, to stop fighting reality, to trust that I'm being held as everything changes, I've discovered something unexpected. The universe wasn't taking things from me. It was freeing me from my prison of control, from my narrow definition of who I was, from my exhausting need to manage everything. Yes, I've lost things, but I've also gained things. Depth of presence, genuine connection, spiritual peace, understanding of what actually matters. Would I choose this disease? No. But can I trust that even this is part of my journey, teaching me what I needed to learn? Yes, that's what surrender means." Eleanor lived 5 more years after her diagnosis, longer than most people with her condition. Her doctors attributed it partly to her positive attitude, her strong support system, her will to live. But Eleanor knew something else was at work. When she stopped fighting the universe, stopped demanding that reality be different, stopped trying to control what couldn't be controlled, she found a peace that actually supported her healing, or at least her quality of life. When she died, peacefully, surrounded by loved ones, her final words to Maria were, "I'm okay. I trust. The universe has held me through all of this. It will continue to hold me through whatever comes next." Maria, grieving, but also deeply grateful for the years that
When the universe dismantles your plans. Rest deeply now in the peace you've been cultivating. Feel how relaxed your body has become, how quiet your mind, how open your heart. You are in a receptive state, ready to absorb these teachings at the deepest level. Life has a way of dismantling our carefully constructed plans. You work toward a goal for years, and suddenly circumstances make it impossible. You build your identity around a role, and that role is taken away. You plan for a certain future, and the universe delivers something completely different. These moments are devastating when they occur. They feel like failure, like punishment, like the universe working against you. Your first response is usually to fight, to try to force things back on track, to refuse to accept the new reality, to rage against the unfairness of it all. But there is another way to understand these dismantlings. They are invitations. Invitations to release what's no longer serving you. Invitations to discover who you are underneath your roles and accomplishments. Invitations to open to possibilities you couldn't see when you were rigidly attached to one particular path. The universe is not cruel when it dismantles your plans. It's not punishing you or testing you or working against you. It's liberating you from prisons you didn't know you were in, from limitations you didn't recognize as limitations, from narrow definitions of self that were keeping you small. Every time life takes something away, it's creating space for something new. Not necessarily something you would have chosen, but something that serves your evolution, your growth, your expansion into fuller humanity. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. We attach to our plans, our identities, our visions of how life should unfold. And when reality doesn't conform to our attachments, we suffer. But the suffering isn't caused by reality, it's caused by our resistance to reality, our refusal to accept what is, our insistence that things should be different than they are. Surrender is the antidote to this suffering. Not resignation, not passive acceptance of everything, but active surrender. Conscious choice to release resistance, to open to what is, to trust that even the dismantlings are part of the pattern, part of the sacred unfolding. When you lose something, a job, a relationship, your health, your dreams, you stand at a crossroads.
One path leads to bitter resistance, to spending your energy fighting against reality, to remaining stuck in grief and anger over what was lost. The other path leads to surrender, to opening to what's actually here now, to discovering what gifts might be hidden within the loss. Both paths are understandable. Loss hurts. Disappointment is real. Grief is necessary. You don't have to immediately find silver linings or pretend everything is fine, but at some point you face the choice. Will I remain in resistance, or will I surrender? Will I keep fighting the universe, or will I trust that even this is part of my journey? Surrender doesn't mean you become passive. You still take action, still make choices, still engage with life, but you do so from a place of acceptance rather than resistance, from trust rather than control, from openness rather than rigid attachment to one particular outcome. And here is what many people discover. When they finally surrender, when they stop fighting and open to what's actually here, they find that the universe has been supporting them all along. The thing they lost was creating space for something better. The plan that fell apart was limiting them in ways they couldn't see. The dismantling was actually demolishing walls that were keeping them confined. This doesn't make loss easy. It doesn't eliminate grief or pain, but it transforms your relationship with change, with uncertainty, with the constant flow of arising and passing away that characterizes all existence. You learn to hold things more lightly. You appreciate what you have while you have it, knowing it will change. You remain flexible, adaptable, willing to change direction when circumstances change. You release the illusion that you can create permanent security, and instead discover the real security, the unshakable peace that comes from trusting the universe, from knowing you're held regardless of circumstances, from resting in awareness itself rather than in the changing contents of your life. This is the teaching. When the universe dismantles your plans, trust that something is being born as something dies, that space is being created as form dissolves, that you are being liberated even when it feels like loss. Trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust the universe that has brought you safely through every challenge so far and continues to carry you forward into your unfolding destiny.
Part 7. The Refugee's Journey. In a war-torn country thousands of miles away, there lived a family, Father Amir, Mother Fatima, 3 children who had a comfortable middle-class life. Amir was a teacher, Fatima a nurse. They owned a home, had extended family nearby, felt rooted in their community. They didn't dream of leaving. They loved their country, their culture, their life as it was. Then, war came. Not gradually, not with warning that allowed for preparation, but suddenly, violently, tearing apart everything they knew. Their city became a battlefield. Amir's school was bombed. Fatima's hospital was overwhelmed with casualties. Food became scarce. Safety became impossible. They held on as long as they could, hoping the conflict would end, hoping life would return to normal. But it became clear there was no going back to how things were. They had to leave or risk their children's lives. So they made the devastating decision to become refugees, to flee their homeland with whatever they could carry, heading toward countries they'd only seen on maps, speaking languages they didn't know, with no certainty about what awaited them. The journey was harrowing. They walked for days, hid from soldiers, crossed borders illegally, lived in refugee camps where conditions were barely survivable. They were robbed, threatened, separated briefly when Amir was detained. Their youngest child became sick. Everything they'd once had, home, community, profession, dignity, was stripped away. Amir felt rage at the unfairness of it all. They'd done nothing wrong. They'd lived good lives, worked hard, raised their children well. Why were they being punished? Why had the universe destroyed their life? he felt no trust, only bitterness. But Fatima, though also grieving and traumatized, held something different. She'd been raised in a deeply spiritual Muslim family, taught from childhood about Tawakkul, the Islamic concept of trust in Allah, of surrendering to divine will even when you don't understand it. Throughout the journey, she would quietly say, "Alhamdulillah, praise be to God," even in the midst of terrible circumstances. Amir found this infuriating. "How can you praise God?" he demanded after a particularly brutal day. "Look at what's happened to us. What kind of God allows this?" "I don't understand why this is happening," Fatima admitted, "but I trust that we are being carried even through this. We're still alive. Our children are still with us. We're moving forward. Something is supporting us, even when we can't see it." Amir wanted to argue, but he couldn't deny the truth in her words. Despite everything, they were still together. Despite countless opportunities for disaster, they'd survived. Something, whether you called it luck, God, or the universe, had been protecting them. After months of travel and waiting, they were accepted into a resettlement program in a distant country. They arrived with nothing. No money, no possessions, no connections, unable to speak the language, completely dependent on others' charity. For Amir, this was humiliating. He'd been a respected teacher. Now he was sleeping in a donated bed in a small apartment, wearing donated clothes, eating donated food, taking English classes with teenagers a third his age. He felt like he'd lost everything, including his dignity. But slowly, something began to shift. The community that welcomed them was kind. People volunteered to help them learn English, to understand how things worked in their new country, to navigate the overwhelming complexity of starting over. Their children enrolled in school and began to thrive. Fatima found work, first cleaning houses, then eventually in a medical clinic when her nursing credentials were recognized. And Amir, despite his resistance, began to see that perhaps Fatima had been right. Perhaps they were being supported, even through devastation. Perhaps the universe hadn't abandoned them, but had been carrying them all along, through danger to safety, from loss toward new possibility. He started teaching again, first just tutoring refugee children in their native language, then offering classes in culture and history at the refugee center, then eventually getting certified to teach in the public schools. It wasn't the same as his old life, but it was meaningful work. One evening, 5 years after fleeing their homeland, the family sat together in their small but comfortable apartment. The children were doing homework, chattering in a mixture of their native language and their new language, both now bilingual. Fatima was preparing dinner. Amir looked around and felt something unexpected: gratitude. "You were right," Fatima said. "The universe was supporting us. I couldn't see it at the time because I was so angry about what we'd lost. But look at what we've gained: safety, opportunity for our children, a new community, skills and resilience we never had to develop before." "We gained something else too," Fatima said quietly. "We learned to trust even when we couldn't see the path forward. We learned that we're stronger than we knew. We learned that home isn't a place, but what we carry with us, each other, our values, our faith." Their oldest daughter, now a teenager, looked up from her homework. "If we hadn't left, I wouldn't have the opportunities I have here. I can go to university, I can become anything I want. None of that would have been possible in our old country, even without the war." Amir felt tears in his eyes. His daughter was right. The universe, in its mysterious and painful way, had moved them from limitation toward possibility, from danger to safety, from comfort toward growth. Would he have chosen this path? Never. The trauma of war and displacement left scars that would never fully heal. But could he recognize that even through devastation, they'd been supported, guided, brought to exactly where they needed to be? Yes. Amir started volunteering with newly arrived refugees, helping them navigate the overwhelming first months. He shared his story honestly, the anger and resistance, the slow movement toward trust, the realization that the universe provides even through circumstances we would never choose. Trust doesn't mean everything will be easy, he told them. It means recognizing that even through difficulty, you're being carried towards something. You can't see it now. I couldn't see it either. But 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll look back and recognize the pattern. See how you were being supported, even when it felt like you were abandoned. Understand that what felt like an ending was actually a beginning. Years later, Amir would return to visit his homeland after the war ended. He walked through his old neighborhood, saw his bombed-out school, visited the graves of relatives who hadn't survived. He grieved for what was lost, for his country, for his old life, for the version of himself that existed before war shattered everything. But he also recognized something profound. He wasn't the same person who had fled years ago. War and displacement had broken him open, stripped away his false securities, forced him to discover reserves of courage and resilience and faith he didn't know he possessed. The universe had dismantled his comfortable life to reveal the unconquerable spirit underneath. Standing in the ruins of his old school, Amir said a prayer of gratitude for what he lost and what he found, for the pain that taught him and the peace that followed, for the trust that sustained him even when he couldn't feel it, for the universe that had been carrying him all along.
Meditation, trusting through difficulty. Bring your awareness to your breath, noticing its steady rhythm, its reliability, its constancy. Regardless of what's happening in your life, the breath continues, in and out, an anchor in the midst of change. Think now about a difficult time in your life, a period when everything felt uncertain or painful, when you couldn't see a way forward, when you weren't sure you'd be okay. Remember how that felt, the fear, the uncertainty, the sense of being alone in the darkness. And now, notice, you survived that time. You're here now, alive, conscious, having moved through that difficulty into this present moment. Something carried you. Something supported you. Whether you recognized it at the time or not, you were being held. The universe didn't abandon you in that difficult time. It was supporting you, guiding you, providing what you needed, even when it didn't provide what you wanted, and it brought you through to the other side. Can you feel gratitude for that support, even retroactively? Can you recognize that you've been carried through every challenge so far? Now, think about something difficult you're facing currently, or something you fear facing in the future. Feel the fear or anxiety that arises. And then, gently, practice trust. Say to yourself, just as the universe supported me through past difficulties, it will support me through this one. I don't know how, I can't see the path, but I trust that I'm being carried, even now, even through this. You don't have to believe this completely. Just plant the seed. Just open to the possibility. Just practice softening your grip and allowing yourself to be held. Breathe in. I am supported through difficulty. Breathe out. I trust the universe to carry me. Notice how your body responds to these words.
Notice if there's any softening, any relief, any loosening of the tight grip of fear. This is the practice, remembering that you've always been supported, recognizing that you're being supported right now, trusting that you'll be supported through whatever comes next. The universe has proven itself trustworthy by bringing you safely to this moment. Can you extend that trust into the future? Can you believe that the same support that has always been there will continue to be there? Rest in this trust. Let it soak into your bones, cells, your very being. You are held. You are supported. You are safe in the arms of the universe, even when circumstances are difficult.
Part 8. The Entrepreneur's Collapse and Rebirth. Marcus Chen was a Silicon Valley success story. At 32, he'd built a tech startup from nothing into a company valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. He'd been featured in Forbes, spoken at TED Talks, was considered one of the brightest minds in his industry. His company was his baby, his identity, his entire life. He worked obsessively, rarely sleeping, constantly pushing for growth, convinced that his intelligence and effort could overcome any obstacle. He believed completely in his ability to control outcomes through strategic thinking and relentless execution. Then came the pivot that destroyed everything. He'd made a strategic decision, one that seemed brilliant at the time, one that would either exponentially grow the company or potentially cripple it. He'd calculated the risks carefully, believed he'd covered all contingencies, was confident in the outcome. The decision failed catastrophically. Not just failed, but destroyed the company. Within 6 months, they were bankrupt. Investors lost everything. Employees lost their jobs. Marcus's reputation was demolished. The media that had praised him savagely attacked him. Lawsuits followed. His personal finances, entirely tied up in company stock, evaporated. At 33, Marcus was broke, professionally ruined, dealing with depression and anxiety that made getting out of bed feel impossible. He lost everything: his company, his reputation, his wealth, his identity. And worse, he'd lost faith in himself, in his judgment, in his ability to control outcomes through intelligence and effort. He retreated from public life, moved into a cheap apartment, barely communicated with friends or family. He spent months spiraling into darker and darker places, replaying his decisions, torturing himself with what-ifs, unable to forgive himself for the failure or accept what had happened. His sister, worried about him, practically forced him to attend a meditation retreat. Marcus resisted. He didn't believe in meditation, thought it was self-indulgent nonsense. But he was so broken he had no energy left to argue. The retreat was 10 days of silence, 10 days of sitting with his own mind, 10 days of nowhere to run from the pain and failure and shame he'd been trying to escape. It was excruciating. Every meditation session was torture, his mind racing with regrets, his body agitated with anxiety, every moment a confrontation with everything he'd lost. But on the 7th day, something shifted. In the midst of a meditation session, Marcus had an unexpected realization. His entire life had been built on the belief that he could control everything through intelligence and effort, and that belief was false. He'd never actually been in control. His success hadn't been purely his own doing. It had required thousands of factors beyond his control: market timing, investor decisions, employee talent, economic conditions, technological trends, pure luck. He'd taken credit for success, but refused to recognize his lack of control. And his failure? Also not purely his doing.
Yes, he'd made decisions that contributed, but the failure required thousands of factors beyond his control. Market shifts he couldn't predict, competitor actions he couldn't prevent, economic forces larger than any individual company. He'd been operating under a massive delusion that humans can control outcomes. When things went well, the delusion was reinforced. When things went badly, the delusion was shattered. Sitting there in meditation, Marcus felt something crack open inside him, not breaking, but opening, like a seed shell splitting to allow growth. He saw his entire life from a new perspective. All his striving, all his effort, all his attempts at control, they'd never been in control at all. He'd been like a man in a boat thinking his rowing determined the journey, not realizing he was in a river with a strong current that was carrying him regardless of his efforts. Tears began flowing, not tears of grief over what he lost, but tears of relief over the burden he could now release. He didn't have to control everything. He couldn't control everything. He never had been able to, no matter how much he'd believed in his own power. After the retreat, Marcus's life looked the same externally, still broke, still without a clear path forward, but internally, everything had changed. He'd discovered trust, not trust that everything would work out according to his preferences, but trust that he was being carried by something larger than himself, that the universe had some pattern or purpose that he couldn't see from his limited perspective. He started volunteering at a homeless shelter, work that required no technical skills, offered no prestige, paid nothing, just showing up, serving meals, listening to stories. It was humbling, but also healing. These were people who'd lost even more than he had, and many of them had found peace, had learned to trust that each day would provide what they needed. Marcus met a man named Joseph at the shelter, someone who'd been homeless for years, but radiated an inexplicable contentment. "How do you do it?" Marcus asked. "How do you stay positive when you have so little?" Joseph laughed. "I tried controlling my life for 50 years, got me nowhere but miserable. Then I lost everything, ended up on the streets, had to learn to trust. Trust that I'd eat today, trust that I'd find shelter tonight, trust that the universe would provide what I needed. And you know what? It always has. Not in the way I'd prefer, not with security or comfort, but it's provided what I actually need. Food, shelter, the kindness of strangers, lessons I couldn't learn any other way." Marcus absorbed this teaching. He started rebuilding his life differently now. He took a job working for someone else, no ambition to start another company, no drive to prove himself, just honest work that paid his bills. He started a daily meditation practice. He volunteered regularly. He reconnected with family and friends he'd neglected during his startup years. 2 years after his company's collapse, someone approached Marcus about consulting for their startup. He almost said no. The world that had destroyed him held little appeal, but something made him say yes, and he discovered he enjoyed advising others without carrying the burden of being in charge, of being responsible for outcomes, of having to control everything. His consulting work grew. He became known for his wisdom, not just technical knowledge, but deep understanding about business, about leadership, about the importance of staying flexible, of not attaching too rigidly to outcomes, of trusting the process even when you can't see where it's leading. 5 years after his collapse, Marcus was doing well professionally and financially, but more importantly, he was at peace. He'd learned what his failure came to teach him, that control is an illusion, that trust is not naivety, but wisdom, that surrendering to the universe doesn't mean giving up effort, but means holding outcomes lightly, doing your best, and releasing the rest. He wrote a blog post that went viral, sharing his story honestly, the success, the catastrophic failure, the dark period of depression, the breakthrough at the meditation retreat, the slow rebuilding based on trust rather than control. Thousands of entrepreneurs resonated with his message, tired of the relentless pressure to control everything, hungry for a different way. In the post, Marcus wrote, "I thought the universe had destroyed me when my company failed. I felt abandoned, punished, victimized by forces beyond my control. But now I understand. The universe didn't destroy me, it freed me. It demolished a false version of myself, the version that believed in the illusion of control, that carried the exhausting burden of thinking everything depended on my effort. The failure was a gift, brutal, unwanted, but a gift nonetheless. It taught me to trust, to surrender, to recognize that I'm being carried by something far greater than my individual will. And that teaching has given me more peace than all my previous success ever did."
Teaching, the wisdom of failure. Let yourself sink even deeper into relaxation now. Feel how heavy your body has become, how still, how peaceful. You are in a state of deep receptivity, open to truth, ready to receive wisdom. In our culture, we worship success and demonize failure. We believe success proves our worth and failure proves our inadequacy. We build our entire lives around avoiding failure, around controlling outcomes to ensure we succeed. But Buddhism teaches something radically different. Failure is one of our greatest teachers. Not because failure is good or because we should seek it out, but because failure strips away illusions in ways success never can. When you succeed, you believe you're in control. You attribute the success to your own efforts, your intelligence, your discipline. You reinforce the belief that if you just work hard enough, plan carefully enough, execute well enough, you can control outcomes. But when you fail, really fail, catastrophically fail, the illusion of control shatters. You come face to face with the truth. You were never in control. Countless factors beyond your influence determined the outcome. Your efforts mattered, but they weren't sufficient. The universe had its own plans, regardless of yours. This realization is devastating initially. It feels like the ground disappearing beneath your feet. If you're not in control, if your efforts don't guarantee results, what do you do? How do you live? The answer Buddhism offers is you live with trust instead of control. You do your best, make wise choices, work diligently, but you hold outcomes lightly. You engage fully while also surrendering to forces larger than yourself. This doesn't mean becoming passive or not caring about results. It means recognizing that you can control only your own actions and attitudes, not outcomes. You plant seeds carefully, tend them well, and then trust the soil, the rain, the sun, all the forces beyond your control to determine what grows. Failure teaches us this. It humbles us. It opens us. It forces us to release our tight grip and discover that we're still okay, still held, still supported, even when things don't go according to plan. Some of the most spiritually awakened people have experienced significant failures, lost businesses, ruined careers, public humiliation. Not because failure is necessary for awakening, but because failure creates an opening that success often doesn't. It cracks the ego, softens the rigid sense of self, creates space for new understanding. If you've experienced failure, and most people have in some form, you can choose to let it make you bitter and afraid, or you can choose to let it teach you. You can remain in resistance, replaying your mistakes endlessly, or you can surrender, accepting what happened and opening to what it revealed. Failure shows you where you were attached, where you were trying to control what couldn't be controlled, where you were identified with outcomes rather than with your essential self that exists regardless of success or failure. The universe isn't punishing you when you fail. It's teaching you, refining you, freeing you from false beliefs that were limiting you. It's inviting you to trust more deeply, to hold things more lightly, to recognize that your worth isn't determined by your achievements. This is revolutionary understanding in a culture obsessed with success. It gives you permission to be human, to make mistakes, to fall short without that meaning you are flawed or inadequate. It allows you to take risks without the paralyzing fear that failure would be catastrophic. It lets you engage with life fully, knowing that whether you succeed or fail, you're learning, growing, being carried toward your highest evolution. Trust this process. Trust that even your failures are part of the pattern, part of the teaching, part of the universe supporting your awakening. You are not being punished. You are being refined.
Part 9. The Widow's Transformation. Margaret was 73 years old when her husband of 50 years died suddenly of a heart attack. They'd retired together 5 years earlier, planned to travel, spend time with grandchildren, enjoy their golden years. They'd been inseparable, married at 23, built a life together, weathered challenges, grown old side by side. When Henry died, Margaret felt like half of herself had been ripped away. She couldn't imagine life without him. Every part of her daily routine involved him. Every plan she'd made assumed he'd be there. Every dream for the future included him. For months, Margaret barely functioned. She went through the motions, paid bills, maintained the house, showed up for family obligations, but she wasn't really living. She was just waiting, though she didn't know what she was waiting for. Part of her hoped she would die too, so she could be reunited with Henry. Her children were worried but didn't know how to help. They invited her to move in with them, but Margaret refused. This was her and Henry's house. Leaving felt like abandoning him somehow. One afternoon, sitting in the garden Henry had loved tending, Margaret spoke aloud to him. "I don't know how to do this without you. I don't know how to trust that I'll be okay. I don't know what the universe wants from me now." She didn't expect an answer, but one came, not in words, but in a sudden awareness of the garden around her. The flowers Henry had planted before he died were blooming spectacularly. Birds were singing. The sun was warm on her skin. Life was continuing, with or without her participation, with or without her consent. Something in Margaret softened slightly. She thought about how Henry would respond if he could see her now, wasting away with grief, refusing to engage with life. He'd be disappointed. He'd want her to keep living, to find joy again, to trust that the universe was still supporting her even though he was gone. That evening, Margaret forced herself to do something she and Henry had always done together. She made their favorite meal. Sitting alone at the table, she felt his absence acutely. But she also felt his presence somehow, not literally, but in memory, in the love they'd shared, in the way he'd shaped who she was. She started talking to him as she ate, telling him about her day, sharing her thoughts and feelings. It felt silly, but also comforting. And she realized he wasn't completely gone. The physical body was gone, but the love remained, the influence remained, the ways he'd taught her to see the world remained. Over the following weeks, Margaret began tentatively engaging with life again. She started volunteering at the local library, something she'd always wanted to do but had put off. She joined a grief support group and met other widows and widowers who understood what she was feeling. At the grief group, she met a woman named Ruth who'd lost her husband 2 years earlier.
Ruth had struggled initially too, but she'd found a path through grief into a different kind of life. Not the life she'd planned, but a meaningful one nonetheless. "I had to learn to trust," Ruth told Margaret. "Trust that I could survive without him. Trust that life still had purpose, even though everything was different. Trust that the universe hadn't abandoned me just because my husband died. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, letting go of how I thought my life should be and accepting how it actually was. But once I did, I found peace I didn't think was possible." Margaret absorbed this wisdom. She started practicing acceptance, not of her husband's death, which still felt unbearable, but of the reality that he was gone and she was still here. She practiced trusting that she was being held, supported, carried by something even through this devastating loss. She began to notice small gifts the universe offered. A phone call from a grandchild exactly when she needed to hear a young voice. A book someone recommended that spoke to her grief. A neighbor who invited her to lunch just when loneliness was crushing. These weren't coincidences, she realized. They were evidence of support, of the universe providing what she needed even in the midst of loss. 1 year after Henry's death, Margaret was in a completely different place. She still missed him every day, still grieved the future they wouldn't have together, but she'd also discovered something unexpected. She was okay. Not okay in the sense that everything was fine, but okay in the deeper sense, still capable of joy, still finding meaning, still connected to life, even though her primary connection had been severed. She took up painting, something she'd been interested in as a young woman but had set aside for decades. She traveled, not the elaborate trips Henry and Margaret had planned, but simple journeys to visit family and friends, to see places she'd always been curious about. She deepened her spiritual practice, attending a local Buddhist meditation group where she learned about impermanence, about letting go, about trusting the flow of life. And she discovered a new purpose, supporting other widows and widowers through the early stages of grief. She volunteered with hospice, sat with dying people and their families, offered the kind of compassionate presence that can only come from someone who's walked through the valley themselves. On the 2nd anniversary of Henry's death, Margaret went to his grave and spoke to him again. "I'm okay," she told him. "I'm actually okay. Not because I've forgotten you or moved on, you're still with me every day, but because I've learned to trust. Trust that I could survive your death. Trust that life still has meaning even though you're not here physically. Trust that the universe is still supporting me, still carrying me, still providing what I need." She paused, feeling the sun on her face, hearing birds singing in nearby trees. "I think this is what you would have wanted for me, not to waste away with grief, but to keep living, keep growing, keep finding beauty and purpose. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trusting the universe to show me what comes next. I'm letting go of how I thought life should be and embracing how it actually is. And somehow, impossibly, I'm finding peace." Margaret lived another 20 years after Henry's death, 20 years of meaningful work, deep relationships, spiritual growth. When she died at 93, peacefully in her sleep, her children found a journal she'd kept. In the final entry she'd written, "The universe asked me to trust it through the hardest thing I've ever faced, losing Henry. I didn't want to. I resisted, fought against reality, but eventually I surrendered. I let go of my demand that life be different and accepted what was. And in that surrender, I found that I was held, supported, carried through grief into a different kind of life. Not better or worse than the life I'd planned, just different. The universe knows what it's doing, even when we don't understand. Trust that. Always trust that."
Meditation, being held in loss. Breathe deeply now, feeling your body completely supported.
Notice how the earth holds you, how gravity embraces you, how you're suspended in space without any effort on your part. This holding is constant, reliable, always present. Think now about a loss you've experienced, the death of a loved one, the end of a relationship, the loss of a dream. Allow yourself to feel the grief without trying to fix it or make it go away. Just let it be present. Notice where you feel the grief in your body, your chest, your throat, your stomach. Breathe gently into those places, offering yourself compassion, acknowledging that loss hurts. Now, gently expand your awareness beyond the grief. Notice that even in the midst of loss, you're still breathing. Your heart is still beating. Life is still moving through you. You're still here. This is evidence that you're being held even through loss. The universe didn't abandon you when you experienced this loss. It continued to support your life, your breath, your existence. Think about how you survived this loss. What supported you? Maybe friends or family? Maybe your own inner strength? Maybe spiritual practice? Maybe time itself? All of these are expressions of universal support, different faces of the infinite intelligence that carries us through difficulty. Can you feel gratitude for that support even as you honor your grief? Can you hold both, the pain of loss and the recognition that you were held through it? Say gently to yourself, I am held through loss. The universe supports me even through grief. I can trust that I will continue to be carried even when I can't see where I'm going. Notice any resistance to these words. The mind often wants to reject comfort when we're grieving, wants to hold on to pain as a way of honoring what was lost. But trusting the universe doesn't mean forgetting or dismissing loss. It means recognizing that even through loss, you're being supported, held, carried toward healing in perfect timing. Breathe in, I am held through grief. Breathe out, I trust the process of healing. Allow yourself to rest in this trust. You don't have to force healing or pretend you're okay when you're not. You just have to recognize that you're being carried, that the universe is supporting you, that eventually, not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, the grief will transform and you will find yourself able to live again, love again, trust again.
Part 10. The Prisoner's Liberation. In a maximum security prison, there lived a man named Daniel who was serving a 20-year sentence for crimes committed in his youth. He was 35 now, had been incarcerated since he was 22. He'd lost the years most people spend building careers, forming families, establishing lives. Those years were gone, spent behind bars, and he still had 8 more years to serve. Daniel was consumed with bitterness. His life had been stolen. Yes, he'd made mistakes, committed crimes, but 20 years seemed impossibly harsh.
He spent his days replaying his past, raging against the injustice of his sentence, plotting revenge against the people he blamed for his incarceration, the judge, the prosecutor, the witnesses who testified against him. This bitterness was poisoning him. He got into fights frequently, accumulated disciplinary infractions that extended his sentence, made enemies of both guards and other inmates. He was serving his time in the hardest possible way, resisting every moment, refusing to accept his reality. Then, a Buddhist teacher named Ayya Vimala started offering meditation classes at the prison. Daniel attended out of boredom more than interest. He had no belief in meditation, no interest in spirituality. He just wanted something to break up the monotony of his days. But something in Ayya Vimala's teaching penetrated his defensive shell. She didn't tell the inmates they were good people who'd made mistakes, didn't offer false hope about early release. Instead, she taught them about acceptance, about trusting life even when circumstances are difficult, about finding freedom within constraint. You cannot control your external circumstances, she told them, but you can control your internal response. You can spend your time here in mental prison, replaying the past, raging against reality, or you can find freedom within these walls by accepting what is and choosing how you respond to it. Daniel wanted to reject this teaching. It sounded like she was asking him to accept the unacceptable, to surrender to injustice, to make peace with being imprisoned. But something made him keep attending the classes, keep listening, keep considering whether maybe she had a point. Ayya Vimala taught them about the Buddhist concept of dukkha, suffering, and how suffering is caused not by circumstances themselves, but by our resistance to circumstances. You're in prison, that is a fact. You can resist that fact, fight against it mentally and emotionally, or you can accept it. Neither acceptance nor resistance will change the external reality, but acceptance will change your internal experience. It will give you peace. Slowly, incrementally, Daniel began to practice acceptance. Not acceptance of his crimes, he felt genuine remorse for those, but acceptance of his current reality. He was in prison, would be for 8 more years, could not change that fact no matter how much he raged against it. And as he practiced acceptance, something remarkable happened. He found freedom, not physical freedom. The walls remained, the bars remained, the restrictions remained, but internal freedom. Freedom from the constant mental torture of resistance, from the exhausting battle against reality, from the bitterness that had been consuming him. He started engaging differently with his incarceration. Instead of fighting guards and inmates, he became a mediator, helping resolve conflicts peacefully. Instead of spending his time plotting revenge, he took educational classes, earned his high school equivalency diploma, started college courses. Instead of seeing time as something being stolen from him, he saw it as an opportunity to grow, to change, to become someone different than the young man who'd committed crimes. He went deeper into meditation practice, eventually becoming so skilled that Ayya Vimala asked him to help lead classes. Other inmates were more likely to listen to someone who'd walked their path, who understood their resistance, who could speak from experience about the transformation possible through acceptance and trust. Daniel told them, "I was so angry for so many years. I blamed everyone, the system, the judge, the witnesses, my accomplices who got lighter sentences. I felt like a victim, like life had dealt me an unfair hand. And that bitterness was destroying me. It was making my sentence longer because every day was torture." He continued, "But then I learned something that changed everything. I have a choice about how I experience this time. I can't change that I'm here, but I can change my relationship with being here.
I can spend my time here in mental prison, replaying the past, raging against reality, or I can find freedom within these walls by accepting what is and choosing how I respond to it. His story inspired other inmates. Many started attending the meditation classes. The prison environment shifted subtly. Fewer fights, more cooperation, a sense of community developing among men who'd previously been enemies. When Daniel was finally released after serving his full 20 years, he emerged as a completely different person than the bitter young man who'd entered. He'd used his time to educate himself, to develop deep meditation practice, to transform his character fundamentally. He became a youth counselor, working with at-risk teenagers, sharing his story honestly, the crimes, the arrest, the initial years of bitter resistance, the breakthrough, the transformation through acceptance and trust. He told them, "I can't change my past, but I could change my response to my past. I could spend my life being defined by my worst mistakes, or I could accept what happened and choose who I wanted to become. The universe gave me 20 years to figure that out. Was it punishment? Was it opportunity? Maybe both. Either way, it was my reality, and I had to decide whether to resist it or surrender to it." Daniel continued teaching meditation, now in community centers and schools. He shared the teachings that had freed him, not just from physical prison eventually, but from the mental prison he'd created through resistance and bitterness. The universe isn't always going to give you what you want, he told people. Sometimes it's going to put you in situations you absolutely don't want to be in. You can rage against that, or you can trust that even this situation has something to teach you. Even this circumstance is part of your journey. Trusting doesn't mean you become passive or stop working towards change. It means you accept what is while working towards what could be. It means you find peace in the midst of difficulty, rather than waiting for circumstances to change before allowing yourself peace. Daniel never forgot the gift Ayavimala gave him, the teaching that freedom is internal, that trust is possible even in constraint, that the universe supports our evolution even through circumstances we'd never choose. And he spent the rest of his life passing that gift forward, helping others discover that they too could trust, surrender, and find freedom regardless of external circumstances.
Teaching. Freedom within constraint. Rest deeply in the peace you've cultivated. Feel how far you've journeyed tonight, how much wisdom you've absorbed, how open your heart has become. You are learning to trust at the deepest levels. One of the most powerful Buddhist teachings is that freedom is internal, not external. We think freedom means having no constraints, no limitations, no difficulties. We think freedom means being able to do whatever we want, go wherever we want, have whatever we want. But this understanding of freedom keeps us trapped, because external circumstances are always somewhat constraining. There are always limitations, financial, physical, social, temporal. As long as we believe freedom requires perfect external circumstances, we'll never be free. Buddhism teaches a different kind of freedom, the freedom that comes from accepting reality as it is, from releasing resistance, from trusting the universe even within constraint. This freedom is available regardless of circumstances. It's available in prison or palace, in poverty or wealth, in sickness or health. Think about the areas of your life where you feel constrained. Maybe it's financial limitation, maybe it's physical limitation, maybe it's relationship limitation, maybe it's work limitation. You have constraints, everyone does. The question is, how do you relate to those constraints? If you resist them, fight against them, constantly wish they were different, you create suffering. The constraints remain,
and you add mental anguish on top of them. You're imprisoned twice, once by the external constraint and once by your internal resistance to it. But if you accept the constraints, not with resignation, but with conscious choice to work within them rather than fight against them, you discover freedom. The constraints remain, but the suffering diminishes. You find creative ways to work within limitations. You discover gifts within the constraint that you couldn't see while fighting against it. This is the deep trust Buddhism invites you to. Trust that your current circumstances, with all their limitations and constraints, are exactly right for your evolution in this moment. Not in the sense that they're perfect or that they couldn't be better, but in the sense that they're what's actually here, what's real, what you have to work with. The universe has placed you in these specific circumstances, not randomly, not cruelly, but as part of a larger pattern of growth and learning. Your job is not to demand different circumstances, but to find freedom within these circumstances, to trust that you have exactly what you need for this stage of your journey. This teaching doesn't mean you don't work toward changing circumstances when change is possible and appropriate. It means you don't make your peace conditional on circumstances changing. You find peace now within what is, while also taking appropriate action toward positive change. This is the middle way, accepting reality while working to improve it, being content while also striving, trusting the universe while also taking personal responsibility. It's not either or, but both and. When you practice this kind of trust, when you find freedom within constraint, you discover something remarkable. The constraints that seemed like prisons were actually classrooms. The limitations that seemed like punishment were actually training grounds. The universe knew what it was doing all along, even when you couldn't see it, even when you fought against it. Trust this process. Trust that your current circumstances, whatever they are your perfect curriculum. Trust that you have exactly what you need to learn what you're meant to learn. Trust that freedom is available right now, not after circumstances change, but within circumstances as they are.
Part 11. The Farmer's Wisdom.
There's an old Buddhist parable about a farmer that perfectly illustrates the teaching of trusting the universe. Let me share it with you now, as your body continues to relax deeper, as your mind continues to open to wisdom. In a small village, there lived a farmer who was known for his equanimity, his peace regardless of circumstances. His neighbors often marveled at how he remained calm whether things went well or poorly. One day, his only horse ran away. The neighbors came to express sympathy. "Such bad luck," they said. But the farmer simply replied, "Maybe good, maybe bad. Who knows?" A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it a herd of wild horses. The neighbors celebrated. "Such good luck," they exclaimed. But again, the farmer replied, "Maybe good, maybe bad. Who knows?" The next day, the farmer's son was trying to tame one of the wild horses when he was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors expressed sympathy again. "Such bad luck," they said. The farmer's response remained the same. "Maybe good, maybe bad. Who knows?" A week later, military officials came to the village to conscript young men for a brutal war. The farmer's son was passed over because of his broken leg. The neighbors rejoiced. "Such good luck," they said. And the farmer replied, as always, "Maybe good, maybe bad. Who knows?" This story continues, event after event, and the farmer maintains the same perspective. It's too soon to judge whether something is good luck or bad luck. What seems like disaster might lead to blessing. What seems like blessing might lead to difficulty. The pattern is too vast to judge from our limited perspective.
This is the essence of trusting the universe. It's not blind faith that everything will work out according to your preferences. It's wisdom that recognizes your perspective is limited, that you can't see the full pattern, that what seems like the universe working against you might actually be the universe supporting you in ways you won't understand until much later. Think about your own life. Haven't there been times when something that seemed terrible at the time later proved to be a blessing? A job loss that led to a better opportunity? A relationship ending that created space for healthier love? An illness that forced you to make necessary changes? A failure that taught crucial lessons? And haven't there been times when something that seemed wonderful at the time later proved problematic? A promotion that led to burnout? A relationship that seemed perfect but was actually unhealthy? A success that fed your ego in ways that weren't helpful? The universe has a longer view than you do. It sees patterns you can't see. It knows what you need for your growth even when you don't know yourself. And sometimes it delivers what you need in packages that look like disasters, in situations you would never choose, through circumstances that seem to be working against you. This is why trust is essential. Not naive trust that everything will always feel good or go according to your plans, but mature trust that recognizes the intelligence operating through all things, that accepts you can't judge whether something is good or bad fortune from your limited perspective, that rests in the knowing that you're being carried even when the path feels difficult. The farmer in the story had this trust. He didn't celebrate apparent good fortune or despair over apparent bad fortune. He remained equanimous, accepting what came, responding appropriately to circumstances while not judging them as ultimately good or bad. This is the practice. Maybe good, maybe bad. Who knows? Trust that the universe knows even when you don't. Trust that the pattern is unfolding perfectly, even when you can't see the pattern. Trust that you're being supported, even through difficulty.
Part 12. The Teacher's Lesson in Surrender. In a prestigious university, there was a professor named Dr. Sarah Williams who had built her entire career on planning and control. She'd mapped out her path from undergraduate through PhD, through postdoc positions, through assistant professor to associate to full professor. She'd published strategically, networked deliberately, made career choices with calculated precision. And it had worked. At 48, she had tenure, publications, grants, respect in her field. She'd achieved everything she'd planned to achieve. She was known for teaching her graduate students the same approach: plan meticulously, control what you can control, leave nothing to chance. Then came the diagnosis: breast cancer, stage 3, aggressive. Treatment would require surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, months away from work. The neat trajectory she'd planned was derailed completely. Sarah's first response was to try to control the situation. She researched obsessively, consulted multiple oncologists, analyzed treatment options, created spreadsheets comparing outcomes. She tried to schedule her treatment around her work obligations to minimize disruption, to maintain some sense of control. But cancer doesn't respect schedules. The treatment was brutal. More debilitating than she'd anticipated, side effects worse than statistics suggested, recovery slower than projected timelines indicated. She had to cancel classes, miss conferences, put her research on hold. Everything she'd carefully controlled was slipping through her fingers. One particularly difficult day, lying in bed too weak to do anything but exist, Sarah had a visitor, one of her former graduate students, now a professor herself, named Dr. May Chen. Sarah was embarrassed to be seen in this state, frail, exhausted, clearly not in control. But May surprised her. "I want to thank you," May said, "for teaching me something important, though not in the way you intended." Sarah was confused. "Thank me? For what?
Look at me, I'm a complete mess. All my careful planning, all my control, none of it mattered against this disease." "Exactly," May said gently. "You taught me to plan and control, and that served me well professionally. But watching you now, I'm learning something even more valuable, that control has limits, that even the most meticulous planning can't prevent all difficulties, that maybe the deepest wisdom is learning to surrender when control is no longer possible." She continued, "I've been struggling with my own situation, trying desperately to control my career, my relationships, my life trajectory, and I've been miserable, exhausted by the constant effort. Seeing you face this with such vulnerability, seeing you have to let go of control, it's teaching me that maybe I need to do the same in my own life. Maybe I need to trust more and control less." Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. She'd thought her illness was teaching her that she'd failed at control, but May was suggesting it might be teaching her to release control, to trust. Over the following months, as Sarah underwent treatment, she practiced surrender in ways she never had before. She let colleagues take over her classes without micromanaging from her sickbed. She let her body rest when it needed rest, rather than pushing through fatigue. She let friends and family help her without insisting she could handle everything herself. And gradually, she discovered something unexpected. Surrender wasn't weakness, it was actually a kind of strength. The strength to accept reality, to work with what is, rather than demanding what should be, to trust that she would be okay even when she couldn't control outcomes. Her cancer went into remission after treatment. She returned to work, but differently. She was less rigid, more flexible, more willing to adapt to circumstances rather than trying to force circumstances to adapt to her plans. She taught her students the same balance: plan wisely, but hold plans lightly. Do your best, but trust the process. Control what you can control and release the rest. Years later, giving a keynote at a conference, Sarah shared her story publicly. "Cancer taught me what decades of academic success hadn't taught me, that control is limited, that surrender is wisdom, that trusting the universe doesn't mean abandoning effort, but means holding outcomes lightly. I thought I was teaching others through my achievements, but my greatest teaching came through losing control, through being forced to surrender, through learning to trust when planning and controlling no longer worked. The universe will teach you what you need to learn, one way or another. If you're willing to learn through gentle means, wonderful. But if you're stubborn, like I was, if you cling desperately to control, the universe will eventually force the lesson through harder means. Cancer forced me to let go. Don't wait for a crisis to learn what I learned. Practice trust now, while you still have the luxury of choosing it, rather than having it forced upon you." Meditation, practicing surrender in this moment. Bring your attention to your breathing once again. Notice that you don't have to control your breath for it to continue. It happens automatically, effortlessly, perfectly, without your conscious management. This is what surrender looks like, allowing life processes to unfold naturally without constant intervention. Trusting the intelligence that's already operating, rather than trying to micromanage everything. Now, think about something in your life that you're trying desperately to control. Really feel into that desperate grip, the anxiety around it, the constant mental planning, the fear of what might happen if you let go. Just for this moment, as an experiment, practice loosening your grip. Not letting go completely, just loosening, just opening your fist slightly. Notice how this feels. Scary? Relieving? Both? Just notice without judgment. Say to yourself, "I am willing to loosen my grip on this situation. I'm willing to trust, even just a little, that I don't have to control everything. I am willing to believe that the universe might support me, even if I'm not managing every detail." You might feel resistance. That's okay. You're not trying to become perfectly trusting immediately. You're just practicing, just planting seeds, just opening to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you could trust more and control less. Now imagine the energy you're currently putting into controlling this situation. Imagine gathering all that anxious, controlling energy and offering it up to the universe, to the divine, to the flow of life itself. Imagine saying, "I've been trying to handle this alone. I'm willing to receive support. I'm willing to trust that this will unfold as it needs to unfold." Feel what happens in your body when you imagine this. Does anything soften? Does anything relax? Is there even a tiny bit of relief in imagining sharing the burden rather than carrying it all yourself? This is the practice, offering up your need to control, opening to trust, practicing surrender not as defeat, but as collaboration with forces greater than yourself. Breathe in, I am willing to trust. Breathe out, I release control. Rest in this practice. Let each breath deepen your surrender, soften your grip, open you to the support that's always been there, waiting for you to stop controlling long enough to receive it. You are held. You are supported. You can let go. The universe will catch you.
Part 13. The Final Teaching. The River of Life. As our journey together begins to wind toward its conclusion, let me offer you one final story, one final teaching to carry with you into sleep and into your waking life. Imagine a river, a vast, powerful river flowing from mountains to sea. The river has been flowing for millennia, long before you were born, long after you'll die. It's part of an eternal cycle. Rain falls, water gathers, rivers flow to oceans, water evaporates, rain falls again. An endless dance of transformation and movement. You are in this river. You have always been in this river, though you may not have realized it. This river is life itself, the universe itself, the Tao, the eternal flow of all that is. When you were very young, you simply floated in the river. You didn't try to control the current or determine the direction. You simply existed within the flow, trusting completely, unaware that trust was even a choice. But as you grew older, you were taught that you needed to swim, needed to control your direction, needed to fight against currents you didn't like and force yourself toward destinations you'd chosen. You were taught that the river was dangerous, that only your constant, vigilant effort kept you safe. So you started swimming hard all the time, exhausting yourself, trying to control where you went, how fast, in what direction. Sometimes you swam upstream, fighting against the current because you thought you should go back to something you'd passed. Sometimes you swam frantically toward shores that kept receding. Sometimes you tried to stop altogether, to hold on to rocks or branches, desperately trying to create stability and constant flow. And all of this effort was exhausting. You were tired, so tired. Tired of swimming, tired of fighting, tired of trying to control the uncontrollable. But what if you stopped? What if you simply relaxed, let go, turned onto your back and floated? What if you trusted the river to carry you? This is what Buddhism teaches. This is what trusting the universe means. Not that you never take action,
never make choices, never respond to circumstances, but that you release your desperate grip, your anxious control, your exhausting battle against the current. You do what's yours to do. You steer when steering is appropriate. You swim toward shore when shore is where you need to be, but you do it from a place of cooperation with the current rather than constant fight against it. You trust that the river knows where it's going, even when you don't. You trust that you are being carried exactly what you need for your growth, your learning, your evolution. Sometimes the river is calm and floating is easy. Sometimes the river is turbulent and you're tossed around by rapids. Sometimes you can see far ahead. Sometimes you can't see anything but the next wave. But the river continues and you are carried. You will not drown. You will not be abandoned. You will not be taken somewhere terrible and left there. The river is benevolent. It's been supporting life for billions of years. It knows what it's doing, even when you don't. This is the ultimate teaching of trust. You are in the river, have always been in the river, will always be in the river until your individual drop of consciousness merges back into the ocean. And the river is trustworthy. It has brought you safely to this moment, this breath, this now. It will continue to carry you forward. Your job is not to control the river. Your job is to be fully present to the experience of being in the river, feeling the water, seeing the shores pass by, experiencing the calm and the turbulent, learning what each section of the river has to teach you. Trust the river, trust the current, trust that you are being carried exactly where you need to go, even when you can't see the destination, even when the path seems wrong, even when you're afraid. The river is the universe, and the universe is infinitely wise, infinitely compassionate, infinitely committed to your evolution and awakening. You are safe in this river. You have always been safe. You will always be safe. Let go, float, trust, and discover the peace that comes from finally surrendering to the current that's been carrying you all along.
Closing. Drifting into trust. Your body is completely relaxed now, so heavy, so still. Your mind is quiet, peaceful, open. Your heart is soft, receptive, trusting. You have journeyed far tonight, through stories of people who learned to trust, through teachings about surrender and letting go, through meditations that opened you to receiving universal support. All of these teachings point to one simple truth. You don't have to carry everything alone. You don't have to control everything. You don't have to manage every detail of your life. You can trust. You can surrender. You can allow yourself to be carried by the river of life, supported by the universe, held in the infinite web of connection that sustains all being. This trust is not naivety. It's not blind faith. It's wisdom born from recognizing that you've been supported all along, that you've been carried through every difficulty, that you've survived every challenge you've faced so far. The universe has proven itself trustworthy by bringing you to this moment. Can you extend that trust into the future? As you drift towards sleep now, let go of any remaining tension, any remaining need to control or manage or figure things out. You don't have to solve all your problems tonight. You don't have to plan every detail of tomorrow. You can simply rest, trusting that when you wake, you'll have what you need for the next day's journey. The universe is handling the vast majority of what keeps you alive. Your heartbeat, your breathing, your digestion, your cellular regeneration. You're not managing any of this consciously, yet it all works perfectly. Trust that the same intelligence that manages your body is also managing your life, bringing you experiences and lessons and people and opportunities at exactly the right time.
Let yourself sink deeper into sleep now, into trust, into the profound peace that comes from finally letting go of the exhausting burden of trying to control everything. You are safe. You are held. You are supported. The universe loves you and is guiding you toward your highest good, even when the path is difficult, even when you can't understand why things are happening as they are. Trust this. Rest in this. Let it soak into every cell of your being. Tomorrow, when you wake, you might forget this trust. The demands of daily life might pull you back into patterns of control and anxiety. That's okay. You can return to this teaching whenever you need it. You can remember, I am in the river, and the river is carrying me. I am supported by the universe, and I can trust that support. Let go now, completely let go. Release every grip, every tight hold, every desperate attempt to control. Just float, supported by the mattress beneath you, by the earth beneath that, by the universe that holds it all. You are loved, you are supported, you are safe, you can trust. Sleep now, deeply and peacefully, held in the arms of the universe. Sleep trusting that you are exactly where you need to be. Sleep knowing that whatever comes tomorrow, you will be supported through it. Sleep in the profound peace of surrender. Trust, let go, rest. The universe has you. All is well. Sleep.
Extended reflection. The night's journey integrates. As you rest in this deep state of relaxation, your unconscious mind is integrating all the teachings you've received tonight. The stories are becoming part of your inner landscape. The wisdom is seeding itself in your consciousness. The practice of trust is taking root in your being. You've met the monk who learned to surrender control in a mountain storm. You've walked with the woman who lost everything and discovered freedom. You've encountered the beggar who taught a wealthy man about trust. You've sat with the mother learning to trust her children's journey. You've witnessed the artist discovering surrender, the doctor facing illness, the businessman experiencing collapse and rebirth. Each story was a mirror, reflecting something back to you about your own relationship with control and trust. Each teaching was a key, unlocking doors within you that may have been closed for years or decades. Each meditation was a practice, training your nervous system to relax into trust rather than tighten into control. And now, in this liminal space between waking and sleeping, all of this wisdom is integrating at the deepest levels. Your conscious mind doesn't need to do anything. Your unconscious is receiving, absorbing, transforming. In the morning, you may not remember every story or teaching, but something will have shifted. You'll find yourself slightly more willing to trust, slightly less desperate to control. You'll notice moments when you catch yourself trying to force outcomes and remember, maybe I can let go just a little. Maybe I can trust just this once. This is how transformation happens, not through dramatic sudden shifts, but through gentle, gradual softening.
not through forcing yourself to trust, but through creating space for trust to emerge naturally, organically, in its own perfect timing. The universe is patient. It doesn't need you to transform overnight. It's been carrying you your whole life and will continue to carry you. It can wait for you to recognize the support that's always been there. It can hold you through your resistance until you're ready to surrender. So rest now, without pressure, without agenda. You don't have to become perfectly trusting tonight. You just have to be open to the possibility, to the invitation, to the gentle calling toward a different way of being. The river is always flowing. The current is always there. Whenever you're ready, today, tomorrow, next week, next year, you can stop swimming quite so hard and allow yourself to float, to be carried, to trust. Until then, simply rest, simply breathe, simply allow yourself to be held in this moment, in this peace, in this profound knowing that you are safe, you are supported, you are exactly where you need to be. And now, dear traveler, our journey together is complete. You've traveled through stories and teachings, through meditations and reflections. You've opened yourself to wisdom about trust, about surrender, about releasing control and allowing yourself to be carried by the universe. Take a final deep breath now. Feel your body completely at rest, completely supported. Feel your mind peaceful and quiet. Feel your heart open and soft. Know that everything you need for tomorrow is being prepared for you right now. You don't have to worry about it, plan for it, control it. When you wake, what you need will be there. This has always been true, even when you didn't trust it. The universe is infinitely intelligent, infinitely compassionate, infinitely committed to your highest good. It has brought you safely through every challenge of your past. It is supporting you perfectly in this present moment. It will carry you lovingly into your future. You can rest in this truth. You can let go into this knowing. You can sleep peacefully, trusting completely. Release now into sleep, deep, restorative, healing sleep. Sleep that knits together body and mind, that integrates wisdom, that prepares you for tomorrow's journey. You are held by the earth beneath you. You are surrounded by the air that sustains your life. You are supported by the universe in every moment, every breath, every heartbeat. Trust this. Rest in this. Let it carry you into dreams, into renewal, into the peace that surpasses understanding. Good night, dear soul. Sleep well. Sleep deeply. Sleep trusting. The universe has you. You are safe. All is well. Trust. Surrender. Rest. Peace be with you through this night and always. Sleep now. Trust. Peace. Rest. The universe loves you. Sleep.